Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have me douse, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
It's showtime.
Welcome to Friday Night Lights. I am your host, Mikey, and as always, riding with me, my boy Tommy. What's going on, brother?
What is going on, Mr. Mikey? It has been a pretty good damn week. A lot of things going on. OTA, Mikey.
Yeah.
There's been some breaking news today that we're gonna get into.
All right.
Some other stuff. So let's first start off with our guest. Go ahead and introduce our guest today.
Yeah. So tonight we're bringing part of the family back. Jarek, what's going on, my man?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? It's been too long.
I know, right? It's been like what?
Since draft, about a month.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Month? Something like that? Just feels like it's all the way around. I think last time we were talking, we were really upset with the way the Buffalo Bills were doing things. How a month has changed things.
Yes, that is true. And by the way, I want to say too, I've had such a change of heart about that draft. Like I really have. Like once, I told you guys once. Sometimes it takes that a couple weeks or whatever, even a month to just dial everything in, soak it in, kind of do all the research, and then you go, okay, you know what? Not so bad actually. I kind of like this guy. So I definitely. It's sticking with my initial grade of the B. I think I gave it a B minus B. So I'm going to go with B. I think, man, if they use the players right, I think it actually was a very good draft. Actually, like a lot of the guys that fell, Osiris Torrance, I think he's a first round talent, man. Dalton Kincaid. For as much as I was disappointed at first, I'm really actually super excited. So I changed my mind on that. I felt like Brandon Beane nailed this draft, in my opinion. I'm even coming around to Dorian Williams. I really am. I like it, man. I like the Justin Shorter pick. I think he could be a guy that, who knows in the future, if he could stay, injury free. So what's your thoughts real quick? I'm going to jump to Jarek and then jump to you, Mikey, about the draft. Because, we had a kind of a bad reaction at first, and then we kind of got a little bit better in day two. What's your overall reaction now about everything? Because I haven't talked to you since. So,
yeah, I gave it a B plus after when the draft was over. I think I'm going to stick with that grade. I think that for the most part, I think getting Torrance made a lot more sense after getting Kincaid, because all of a sudden now we've seen some 12 and 13 personnel usage in the preseason, and then all of a sudden we kind of went from that away from that in the regular season. So I definitely feel like by getting Kincaid, I think that we could be going back to that initial shift in offensive philosophy with Ken Dorsey that he kind of wanted to run. Maybe he didn't. Again, I don't know why we didn't. Why we ran away from it when the season started. Maybe he didn't have any belief in those guys. Maybe. He didn't have enough, proof in the pudding that this could actually work. I'm not too sure why, but I think that with Dalton Kincaid, especially when you have a $40 million tight end, that hopefully we can see both be utilized, depending on the role that it is. Again, of course, Kincaid is a guy that you're not going to see him too much on the line, even though he can play on the line. You want to see him out wide. You want to see him in the slot. And again, you can use him. You can utilize him in so many different ways. Put him in the backfield. So yeah, Dalton Kincaid as a player was really, really good. Really good for us. Again, you can make an argument. Was it the best value pick for us? Could we trade it back in the second round and get somebody else? Maybe. But the most important thing is you got a weapon for Josh Allen. So I wasn't too disappointed after when we got Torrance, because I'm like, okay, now this is starting to make sense. Because I was with you. With Tommy. I'm like, damn. I'm like, if we can't get our guy, let's get Torrance. Let's go ahead and get somebody on the offensive line. And then we got Torrance in the second round. So I'm like, oh, well,
I was right. Shocking.
I'm like, okay, well, that's good to go. So,
but let's be honest. Tommy listened to 3 months of me telling him Torrance doesn't fit our archetype. It ain't gonna happen, Tommy. It's not gonna happen, buddy. I mean, I would love it if it did, but it's not gonna happen. 3 months of it, and then the Bills just completely went against their nature and drafted him. And it's just like, okay.
Yeah, dude, I was preaching on Twitter everywhere. If anyone knows me and I'm sold on a certain guy, I am throwing everything out there. I'm all in, boy. I get sold on one guy and I'm stuck, man. But Mikey, start off with some breaking news today. Go ahead, because I know that's
first. Let me come back around.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, Mikey. Go ahead.
So I was very hard on the Bills. I think I gave them like a C or a C plus. After seeing how they're going to utilize Dorian Williams and they're actually going to put him at the mic, I gave him the C plus based off of, you drafted a 3rd round backup linebacker. It made 0 sense to me, after doing the same thing last year.
Right.
I also thought at that pick there was some really good D tackles on the board. And then we went out and signed Poona Ford right after. So going back and seeing how they managed it, I would give the Bills a B. Now, it could go up in the future. Love the first 2 picks. Didn't think we had to trade up to get a tight end, but that's fine. They want to use them. They want them as a weapon. Great. Also found out some other things about the way Dawson Knox contract is, structured, and we can get into that later, and things like that. So ultimately, I would say B, solid B, with upside.
That's good. So you moved up a little bit. So that's good, man. I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
So Mikey, I do, like I said, I know everyone wants to talk about.
Hey, Tommy, did you hear? The Arizona Cardinals made a move today. They released DeAndre Hopkins.
And I gotta say, I am shocked. Listen, a couple things. One, the Cardinals really dropped the ball. Because you're telling me there was no takers on draft day, not one that gave them any offer. I'm not saying an offer that they like, but of anything, a 5th round, a 4th round. So I guarantee, now they're not going to say it, of course not, but I almost feel like they took a gamble and they lost that gamble. And then there was no way out because they ate, like, I think, what did they say?
$22.5 million.
Right. It's a lot to eat and get nothing.
That's not actual cash. They didn't eat any actual
No, they ate.
That's just in cap. That's just in cap.
Right. I understand. So they don't lose anything. Right. They lost basically this year or something like the last year's contract or the season of his contract. They don't move it. Moving forward, it's whoever's has to take on. So, but I will say still, I'm telling you, there's no way that no team didn't offer anything. It's almost impossible. I can almost promise you.
Well, let me counter that. I was listening to Rich Eisen today, and Tom Pelissero came on and was talking about it. He said the issue became that when people were calling about DeAndre Hopkins, they wanted either Arizona to eat some of the cash. They didn't want to do that because there was no guaranteed money left and they can get out of it for scot-free. It's just that 22.5 is just a cap number. There's no actual
I get that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But D-Hop, something happened between them and he refused to adjust his salary. So that's why he would never.
Well, what's interesting though, Mikey, and I did a video and it's so funny because somebody was like, oh, like they're like, your title is you're faking your thumbnail. And I'm like, listen, here's the deal. And this is why I made that video. Because I said, hey, I think D-Hop wants to go to Buffalo, right? Mm-hmm. And it's funny because this week on Monday, Mikey, and I know you've been working a lot, so maybe you haven't been paying attention on Twitter, but DeAndre Hopkins was on a podcast with Brandon Marshall, and they asked him where he where he would want to play in the future or on his next team or whatever. He said, well, the one quarterback that I've been watching, since he came out was Josh Allen, right? And it blew up again, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cut a video because there's a couple things that's interesting in that. One, after the draft, the Cardinals GM said, we want DeAndre here. We don't want to move on. He's a Cardinal. We want him here. And then DeAndre Hopkins even came out and said, I never asked to be traded. So we kind of, that, if you notice at that time when all that was said, the DeAndre Hopkins thing kind of fell, right? We all said, he's staying with Arizona, right? Why would the GM say that? But then on Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, he came out and said that. So I did the video because, one, I'm going to tell you this. If your guy comes out, your star receiver, and he pretty much says, I would love to play with this guy, right? He didn't come out and say, you know what, I don't want to play with anybody. Kyle Murray's my guy, blah, blah, blah. It would have been like, you know what I mean? Nobody would have said nothing. But the reason why I said that is because once he did that, the relationship between him and Kyle Murray from that point moving forward would have been bad, in my opinion. You can't play for the Cardinals after saying, I would love to go play for another team. I would love to play for a Josh Allen or a, Joe Burrow you get what I'm saying? Because I don't think like Diggs will go on, for instance, and I'm telling you right now, if Diggs did this, the Bills Mafia would absolutely explode, right? If Diggs went on a podcast tomorrow, I'm just throwing this out there, and was like, and they asked him, and he's like, oh, I would love to play with Dak Prescott. Oh, you telling me that people wouldn't take that and run with it? Of course they would. And it really wouldn't look good because you already have a star quarterback. Why would you want to talk about even thinking about leaving your team? So there had to have been something on Tuesday, Mikey, is my point, or Wednesday, whenever that dropped, that Arizona and DeAndre were already talking about moving on, in my opinion. Because I don't think he would have been so freelance as saying, I would love to play for a Josh Allen. You get what I'm saying? Because that's just my opinion.
Okay, and I got that. But let me correct part of that. The I Am Athlete podcast that he was on. Mm-hmm. The part that you probably saw was cut out just about Josh Allen. Josh Allen was the first quarterback.
I know that, Mike.
He talked about five different quarterbacks. He talked about what he wanted to see. So it wasn't that he was just bashing and saying
but
he
didn't
wanted.
Okay, but did he? I know that, but he didn't. Mikey, that's not my point. My point is, it'd be like if Diggs or any primetime. Well, let's say Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase goes on a podcast.
Murray. He talked about
Murray. Throwing. But he didn't say I would. My point is, if a star receiver on your team goes to another podcast and just starts talking about who he would love to play for, a current player, not an ex-player, not a Hall of Fame great that's retired like Tom Brady, right? Oh, I would have loved to play for Tom. That's different. But you're talking about moving. You're pretty much saying, I would love to play for this guy and not this. I don't want. Because, listen, if you're happy, you're going to say, I don't want to play. Hey, honestly, man, it'd be cool to play with him, but I love where I'm at right now. That's all I'm saying. He didn't really come off that way. And I felt like at that point, and look, 2 days later, he's released, Mikey. I'm just throwing that out there. How can that be a coincidence?
I read it differently.
I didn't read it different. If 2 days later, he's cut.
Well,
so how could I'm just throwing that out there? 2 days later, after that interview, he's released. I know you're not putting it together. I'm just telling you, I have a feeling he saw the writing on the wall. That's all I'm saying. So he was already saying, I would love to play for this guy. And why is he naming the top quarterbacks on the teams that are willing to take him? Mahomes, right? Because the Chiefs are in play. Mm-hmm. The Bills are supposedly in play. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. And the Ravens, right? Ravens, Jackson.
Eagles, and Chargers.
Right. So, come on, man. You think that's a coincidence?
No.
He didn't mention any Tua. He didn't mention
but he's been saying,
Rodgers.
He's been saying those 5 teams.
I know that.
Since before the draft.
I get that, but it's just funny to me, Mikey. It's all I'm saying is it happened to be 2 days ago, and he's cut this week. If he said that now and he wasn't cut, I would say, yeah, you might be right. He's just talking. Who cares, right? Like, but it's just funny. He got cut right after. He literally got cut.
He said the same thing 2 months ago, though. At the same time,
when it was when they were trying to trade him.
Yeah, just
right. You're right, and it didn't happen. And
I don't know, Jarek.
Jarek, what do you think?
Did you read it the same way Tommy read it?
I just saw him. I thought it was just blabber talk. Honestly,
me too.
I thought it was I can understand where Tommy was definitely coming from. Like I said, that's good. That's definitely gonna bring some excitement. And who knows? DeAndre Hopkins and the Cardinals, like their relationship has kind of been questionable. I'm not gonna say it was good or bad, but it's been questionable for months. It's been very questionable for months now. So who knows? I know DeAndre Hopkins. He went on Instagram Live when he was asked, like, "Hey, are you going to get traded to the Bills? Or are you going to get released?" He says, "I don't know anything about that right now, but pretty much I'm focusing right now on the Arizona Cardinals, focusing on the organization." So Now to see that kind of this point that he got released, I think it does kind of confirm that they were looking to move on from him for a while, right?
Yeah.
They did not want him there.
Oh yeah.
Based off of, I don't think it was anything personal, but just the fact that he's 30, he's gonna be what 30, he's 30, gonna be 31 in June 6th.
Yep.
June 6th is gonna be 31 years of age. He hasn't played a full season in 2 years. And then obviously the Cardinals they're about to rebuild. They're about to rebuild, and honestly, I would not be surprised at all if they want to move on from
Kyler
Murray in the future.
Yep.
So
I think so. I think they are. I think they're trying to find a way
it's
to.
gonna
especially with
they're gonna have to
Caleb
figure out
Williams,
how to
right?
get out of that contract.
yeah,
By the way, I'm not pulling anything out of my ass. They cut him. It's not like I'm sitting here saying that he's talking about somebody else and he's still on the Arizona
Yeah,
Cardinals.
I didn't.
They
read
cut
the way
him,
you read
Spin.
it. Yeah.
He is a free.
But they've
he's
been
a free
talking
agent.
about. They've been talking about doing different things. Since.
Nobody saw them cutting him, Mikey. Nobody. Name one person. Name one person, Mikey. Come on.
I'd have
Did
to go
you
back and
really
look
think?
at the podcast. Yeah, they've talked about it for
No.
the last 2 months.
This was a bro, Mikey. Everyone.
But everyone thought it was
going
going to be after. Well, yeah, because they did it before June 1st. Everyone thought it'd be after June 1st cut.
I did not see them cutting it. Okay, I didn't see him cutting him for two reasons. One, because of the money, and two, because they came out and said both the GM and DeAndre Hopkins said, "I want to play." I never said I want to be traded. And then the GM said, "Hopkins is a Cardinal. He's going to be a Cardinal." And then what? A month later, he's cut. I'm just throwing that out there. It's crazy.
The money. I never look at the money piece because it was just a cap number. It wasn't actually cash that they had to pay him out of pocket. Now, if he would have been on the roster, they would have had to pay him $19.5 million. But because he had no guaranteed money by cutting him, they don't have to give him a penny. And he now just counts $22.5 million on their books. That's it.
I didn't listen. I'm not saying I just didn't see him cutting him. I saw maybe I saw a potential trade, maybe them finally going, you know what, we'll take a fifth. Just go ahead and we'll eat some of the contract. Like I thought they would eventually just go, you know what, we tried. Let's get something better than nothing.
I think what Tom Pelissero was saying today was no one would give up anything because no one wanted to trade for his contract.
I know, I get that, but they could have ate some of it, Mikey. They could have ate.
Then they would have had to pay cash.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
And then their owner's cheap as hell.
But I wonder. Okay, so just curious though. I am curious since we're still on this Hopkins talk. Why do you think the Cardinals moved on from Hopkins beside the contract? Like, because I still think he's a solid player.
One, because
why do you think?
Him, I think because they were going to have to pay him $19.5 million for a wide receiver who doesn't have a quarterback. I think they are blowing it up and starting over. And so they're going to they're going to cut him, take the cap hit this year. Just like we have to remember when Brandon Beane came in and traded Darius and Darby and all those guys, and we took our medicine in that 1 year, and it restarted their cap.
Yeah,
that's what
I think you're right. That is what I agree with you. Because listen, here's the deal. Hopkins is still. I don't care what anyone says, and I'll ask Jarek next after this. I still think Hopkins has a lot of juice in the tank. I still think Hopkins is one of the better receivers in the league. He's not a top 5 anymore, but he's still damn good. He came. He had the 6-game suspension. His first game back was dynamic. He looked like the same Hopkins as the year before. I didn't see anything last year when he was playing that said to me, "Oh man, Hopkins kind of lost a step there." Like he still looks solid, in shape. You see him grinding in the offseason. There's nothing that tells me DeAndre Hopkins took a step back as he got a little older. I still see Diop as a solid. So my thing is, I think you're right. I think Arizona made a mistake with Kyle Murray. They're realizing that now, and they're trying to find a way to basically tear that team apart. And they have to. I think right now the Cardinals are going to have to do that. Jarek, what do you think, man? What do you think about the D-Hop?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we talk about receivers. What a lot of people think that as soon as a player turns 30 years of age, they automatically think of like a running back position where, when you turn 30 years of age, it's almost a damn near death sentence because it's extremely rare for running backs in their 30s to still have the amount of production that they were able to have in their 20s. But the receiving position is a little bit different. Matter of fact, if you have to take a look at if you actually take a look at the age group that is produced at the position, it has been receiver. right? And again, I'm just going to name some notable guys, but I mean, Jerry Rice, at 40 years of age, what did he do? Had 1,200 yards with the Raiders. Randy Moss, he did with the Patriots in his 30s. Terrell Owens, his best stint was the Eagles, Cowboys during his career. He was in his 30s.
Yeah.
He was in his 30s when he was playing. Larry Fitzgerald, what he was able to do in his 30s. I mean, there's
100%. Forgot about Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald was up there too, and he was still dynamic.
Exactly. Anquan Boldin with the Ravens. I mean, there's so many different dudes. And those are just notable Pro Bowl caliber players, but there's so many players that can produce in their 30s. Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, he's one of those dudes that can produce. He's one of those dudes that if he can stay healthy, if he can treat his body right, that's a guy that can be able to do it. And like you said, I mean, last year he had, he came back, no preseason, came back in week 10, back-to-back 100-yard performances. And, again, Kyler Murray was out for majority of those sequences. He had a backup quarterback.
Exactly.
That
he never even probably played with, like, had any experience together.
Never even had the chemistry to form with him.
Right,
And even if, like I said, even if he is, I mean, 30, again, he didn't suffer any significant injuries last year.
Nothing.
I know a lot of people will go back to what 2021 happened where he had a significant injury. But no, 2022 had no significant injuries. 9 games, he had 717 yards in 9 games. Almost had 1,000, was on pace to have 1,000 if he would have played the full slate schedule. And even, like I said, if he comes to Buffalo and people have concerns about his age, listen, he'll be a number 2 receiver at 31 years of age. Number 2 receiver is not going to get the amount of attention and probably not going to get the amount of volume that he has a number 1 receiver, which will be good for the long term, moving on 2-3 years from now. I mean, I think that, again, if he comes here, I think it's a win-win situation. I think, again, the only question you will have is injury. But I mean, if you look at some of the best receivers in NFL history, they were all able to play in their 30s.
Yep.
Matter of fact, a lot of their best careers happened in their 30s. And I think DeAndre
100%.
Hopkins, if he comes to Buffalo, could be one of those guys because he certainly is in that Hall of Fame caliber right now.
And it also goes into what Bean was talking about with Dalton Kincaid. He says he has that feel, the zone feel, to slide to the right spots. That D-Hop's made a career out of that. Because he's not a burner by any means. He's more of a possession guy. He knows how to get open. Devontae Adams is the same way. They're not burners.
And
they can stack and go.
Very physical.
Yeah. They can stack and get over the top, but they also have this unique feel inside zone to where they slide to the open spot. And those contested catches. Hell, he jumped between 3 All-Pros and caught it.
Yeah, don't remind
against
me.
us. So, when you think about what I would also love about the D-Hop, and this can kind of transition for us a little bit, would be what he could do for the run game.
Yeah, 100%.
As we're already looking at what the Bills are doing and transitioning, we've started to remake that interior offensive line as we brought in McGovern, who's not really a run blocker, but is more of a pass blocker, but he's an average run blocker. But then you have, Torrance, our rookie, who is a mauler. You still have Morse, and then you have, Brown and Dawkins.
Right.
Then you can run 2 tights with Kincaid and Knox with 2 receivers. If it's really a run play, put Davis and D-Hop out there, or put Diggs and D-Hop out there and let them. You have to worry about the play action. It's going to open up a lot more of our run game because last year we had a non-existent run game outside of Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that too. Also, I got to say, so here's the deal. So we all know, and I think it's no secret right now that's out there, is there's a handful of teams right now, right? Like 4 or 5 teams right now that are supposedly in the hunt, right? That destinations where DeAndre could potentially wind up. Buffalo Bills seems right now as a betting favorite. Like I see there's betting favorites. We are number 1 right now, supposedly. Nope. The Chiefs are not, well, we were before, maybe not anymore, but we're
not anymore.
All right.
Yeah,
so we dropped. Anymore. All right, whatever. The last time
we're
I
actually
checked,
number 4, I think.
We dropped. We were 1 before. So
now we're like number 4.
So the Chiefs are up there. So here's the thing. So I can see why he would want to go to the Chiefs. 1, because you have an unbelievable head coach and you got a wizard on the offense, right? Andy Reid. You got Patrick Mahomes. I get that part. They're well ran. But my thing is this: if he goes to Buffalo, here's a couple things. 1, Josh Allen. Listen, he loves he already said it. You know, Josh Allen is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league as well. McDermott's the only question mark, and I would say Ken Dorsey on that. But you're stacked up with Stephon Diggs. You also got your friend with Von Miller. You also got Brandon Beane. He's talked about wanting to be with a team that's well ran. We all know Brandon Beane's up there. Every player that's ever met Brandon Beane or has played with the Buffalo Bills know Brandon Beane handles things right. He treats his players right. He pays you right. He runs this organization right. And I think D-Hop really likes that. And I'm sure Von Miller expresses that to him, how it's ran in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Also, he has to take in mind this. Buffalo's never won a Super Bowl. Chiefs won. If he comes to Buffalo, I'm just throwing this out there, and we won a Super Bowl, he is part of history. He's part of history. It's part of his legacy that he can turn around and say, you know what? I came to Buffalo. They never won a Super Bowl. Me, my boy Von Miller, we did it with Josh. I was part of that. He will go down forever. Like, you know, you go to the Chiefs, you win another one. I'm not saying like he wouldn't be happy, but it would mean more, I think, like you said, his legacy. If he won one in Buffalo, it would be unbelievable. And that's, I think, at least it will come across my mind if I'm a player going, you know what? Okay, I think here's my choices, because he already said, Mikey, too. He's not trying to get buku dollars, right? Mm-hmm. He said it before. So will he work out a decent deal to come to Buffalo because he thinks there's an opportunity for his legacy to win a Super Bowl trophy in Buffalo that's never been done? I think that is why Buffalo should be the number one option for him. That's just my opinion. Mikey, Jarek, you could talk about that.
Well, our boy Y comes in and tells us these were the same teams I heard. Dallas is one, New England's 2. Although I'm really surprised to see New England 2 with Bill O'Brien there, because if you remember, that's the reason why he left Houston.
New England, there's no way. I
can't. Well, him and Belichick have a weird relationship. That's like a weird.
But he wants to go with a quarterback that's a top. Mac Jones, like I can't see. I'm sorry, I can't see it.
We'll see.
I can't see it. I get it, but I can't see it.
Chiefs, 4s, Bills, and I think the dark horse is
Baltimore.
Cleveland. No,
I would put Baltimore. I know, but I would put Baltimore over New England here. I would put the Chargers on this list.
This is just as the list that.
No, I get it.
But the dark horse is Cleveland because they have money to spend right now, and 2, Deshaun Watson's there. A quarterback that he loves already.
I get it. Yeah.
And knows. And he would pair up with Amari Cooper.
And I'm sure there's some NFC teams. Somebody mentioned one today. I forget who.
The Eagles. They were talking about the Eagles going.
No, it was somebody else. It was another NFC. It wasn't the Eagles. They said the Eagles probably wouldn't be good because they already got a pretty stacked up receiving core. Yeah, it wasn't the Eagles. I forget who. It was somebody. No, it wasn't the Cowboys. I forget. It was on W whatever. I was listening to their.
Okay.
I forget the team.
So, but let's circle back to the offensive line. So, Jarek, I want to hear from you real quick on this. From
maybe Chicago? Was it Chicago? I forget.
Yeah, it was
Chicago has the money.
It was the Bears. Yeah, it was the Bears.
Yeah, it was the Bears. Okay. I knew it. I was like, it would have drove me nuts.
Chicago definitely has the money, but if he's going for all the other things that they're talking about, Chicago's not the place to go. But
I agree with that because they're young quarterback. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But if it's about money,
brand new regime, not a stable regime, right. I mean, there's if it's about the money, he goes there. If it's about the things that he talked about, then he goes to one of these other ones. But I wanted to talk to Jarek about the offensive line. Seeing how we have transitioned and started to build our interior offensive line out, what do you think the run game looks like this year? Do you think we have a chance to actually have a run game this year? Or you think it's going to follow along the last few years where it's Josh and a bunch of everybody else?
I think it depends, man. Because again, it's all. I think for the most part we're very scheme dependent as far as our run game has been. Mm-hmm. Again, that's why when we got Osiris Torrance, you got a guy that's more of a mauler type, and we're pretty much an offensive line that he has to move in. But again, I don't know what they're going to do with their offensive line scheme. I don't know if they're going to. I'm guessing they're going to make some adjustments, some changes to it. But like I said, I mean, Buffalo's got some guys. I mean, Queensberry's he's not a pass blocker. He's been known as a run blocker. That's why you kind of gotten. Oh my God, the name's escaping me. The guard who was the guard we got last year?
Oh, Saffold.
Yeah,
Saffold,
Saffold.
right?
Saffold was been known as a
Saffold,
run
yeah.
blocker, not a pass blocker. But we kind of decided to kind of put them in particular schemes that it was just pretty obvious that they just weren't really comfortable in, and it was to a point where Queensberry, who was more of a projected starter, ended up as a backup, but kind of more as a versatile guy that can play guard and tackle. Kind of was that, was that situational type guy. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I do think that it's to answer the question, it will kind of go back to like the last couple of years. I do think that we could have a little bit of an improvement. I do think that the run, we want to try to have a little bit more balance in the run game, try to help Josh Allen out a little bit as far as leasing, as far as trying to get the pressure off of his shoulders. But at the same time, it's like, if we decide to make that move for DeAndre Hopkins, I think that's pretty much going to tell you that, yeah, we went all in. And that even though this run game should be a little bit more improved, that's still not going to be the main. That's still definitely not going to be the focus.
I agree.
It's probably still going to be.
So how do you see the backfield being split? Because we brought in a bunch of different backs. Obviously Cook is the incumbent.
Yeah, and not a lot of these dudes are going to be there. I mean, I think Buffalo's probably going to have 3 dudes at the end of the day, and I think that for the most part, I think that you'll have Cook, you'll have Harris. And then you'll have Hines. I do not think.
You don't think Murray's gonna make it?
No, I don't think he's 33, and it's just like for me, he's 33 years old. He's literally gonna have one particular role that he's gonna be good. I just don't think that they're gonna with that many backs that you ever get, they're not gonna keep them all. And I do think you need to find you need to find a role for Hines, be that third guy. I do think that
money we're paying him.
Yeah, which is again.
So here's my thoughts real quick on that. And it's interesting because and it's another thing we're going to talk about in a second because I totally forgot about this until you started talking about Hines. And we're going to bring it up in a minute. Mm-hmm. But here's here's how I see that. Cook, no matter what, is on the team, right? We know that, right? Cook's not going anywhere.
Second round pick last year.
Right. Exactly. So
two more after this year.
Right. So Cook's there. Now here's the deal with the other 3. Murray actually had a decent season last year. It wasn't like Murray fell off and was terrible. Murray's a bigger back, 6'2", I believe he is. He actually was injury-free last year for the most part. He had a decent season. And Harris is a good running back when healthy. And that's a big question mark when it comes to Harris. Here's how I think it's going to go down with this running back core. I think preseason is going to be big for these guys. Not Cook, but I'm talking Harris and I'm talking Murray. Now, here's the problem with Naeem Hines. Guess what, guys? The kick return just changed. There is a new rule in the NFL, and coaches are pissed, and I'm not happy about it. I think it's horseshit. So as y'all know, if you guys don't know in the chat, on kickoffs, if it goes past the 25, they can fair catch it anywhere, and it automatically goes to the 25. It takes total kick returns totally out pretty much. It's a terrible new rule. Special team players now, it's almost like it's going out. It's not. They're almost trying to eliminate the kickoff. Me personally, I think the XFL does it right. I love how they do it, which is line up 10 guys 5 yards apart, kickoff. They had no injuries last year. I think it makes it way funner. You still have your kick return. I don't know. I think they do it right, but the NFL will never copy what the XFL is doing. They're not going to do that. And I just think coaches right now, and even Sean McDermott, I believe, was on, I forget what show, Pat McAfee maybe, and they were talking about how what does this do for your guys that are kick return specialists? And even you could kind of tell he was like, we gotta. It sucks because normally these guys would be the guy. Now we have to really determine who's worth saving on our roster. And Naeem Hines could be the guy that suffers because of this, because he is our kickoff. I was excited. Kickoff return. Hey, cool. We got our guy now. I don't know now. Now I don't know. Like it worries me a little bit with that. Go ahead, Mike.
Talking about Hines, if we released him, we it's $1.5 million dead cap, $2 million saved this year, but next year it's $5 million cap savings by releasing him. So are we really going to hold on to a guy for kickoffs? Because Deontay Hardy is a former All-Pro punt returner. So it's not like, we
Right.
don't have fallbacks there.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
and we can put him back at kickoff returner and just tell him to fair catch the stupid ball, get the ball
Every time.
25.
You don't need to. Don't
So
even take the
it
chance.
becomes, if Hines isn't going to be used in the offense, are you really going to pay him $5 million this year to
Right.
be the third running back? Or are you going to,
Right.
you're going to cut him at, and then save the $2 million this year and the $5 million next year?
And you made a good point with Hardy, actually, too. He can also be a gadget guy. So you go, okay, well, Hines it could be the guy. No, well, Hardy can too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hardy's just as fast. He's dynamic. He's electric, and he's cheaper. I mean, so I feel bad for Hines in that sense. Honestly, I feel bad for a lot of kickoff return specialists.
It's not even them. It's the Tyler Matakevich. Matakevich made most of his money. I mean, he's a 4-core special teams guy, but
it's true. You're right.
Most of his money is on kickoff
I agree.
returns.
Yeah, I hate it, Mike.
I don't think it messes with Strand Neal because you still punt and he's a gunner. But the Matikeviches of the world, who's strictly paid because of his kickoff prowess,
right?
Those type of guys may not have jobs anymore with this.
No,
new rule.
I agree. It is what it is. I hate it. I really, honestly, Mike, I don't know if you ever saw the XFL kickoff, but I love it. I think I know it's a little gadgety, but it works. It really, if they're trying, if the NFL's really, this is all about player safety, then that the stats prove it. They had 0 injuries on kickoff returns in 2022. So go ahead and what's the problem with that? Implement that.
And
I just hate it.
For it on 4th and 18 if they want, but
Yeah,
but they have some fun stuff. They have a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm just like that part. I think is the right way. You know what I mean? Because the whole thing with kickoffs, and you guys know this, is players are hauling ass down the field. It's that's where injuries happen. I get that, but you can eliminate that by if you do what the XFL does, and both teams are locking up right away. I mean, I don't know, but either way, Mikey, you have anything else? Because I do want to talk about something before you, if you want to have anything else.
No, you transition to the other thing.
Okay, so I want to talk about Diggs. Okay, and y'all know if y'all in the chat, y'all see the title. So OTA started this week, and normally this wouldn't be a big deal to me, Mikey, and maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. But I think a lot of people are thinking this. This is not me. So here's my problem with Diggs not being an OTA. What happened last season, the way it ended, right? And by the way, it's funny because I remember talking to you, Mikey, and you were kind of upset that Diggs wasn't at something with Allen. I forget, or something, because Diggs should have been there and he wasn't. Like, just to kind of show, like, hey, I'm cool with Allen.
No, I was mad at Allen for not going to the Pro Bowl with Diggs and Morris and Dawkins.
Right. But my point is now is like, listen, the way the season ended, it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look with Diggs. Showing up your teammate, it's basically showing up your teammate, showing up your leader, which is Josh Allen, and then leaving the team abruptly, having to come back because a player told you to come back. I forget who it was, the running back told him to come back and be with the team for a minute, and then he dipped out. He hasn't done any kind of talking about the Buffalo Bills, about what happened. The only thing we've gotten from Diggs is weird messages. Right? Cryptic, weird, which could be anything. And I'm not taking that in another. I'm just saying nothing's been positive is my point. So him not showing up to OTAs, of course, has Bills Mafia going, damn, like you say nothing all offseason. You ended it with negativity, with putting your arms up, basically, putting Allen out there, right? Like, where people are going to talk, and people did, right? Y'all remember it. And I just feel like, man, like, dude, if it'd be different if he came out and he's doing podcasts like, hey, me and Allen are cool, we're talking, or saying anything positive, right? Anything. Diggs has not done nothing. And I felt like if he showed up at least day one or any of these days of OTA, and I don't think he is, just to be there, I think it would be such a relief and a good look on Diggs, because I'll tell you this too, Mikey, 95% of the Bills showed up, players, to OTAs. 95%. Allen seems so motivated this coming season. He's talked about it. He's dialed in. And I'm not saying Diggs won't be, but it's not a good look considering what happened last season, in my opinion. Him not at least showing up, showing his face, going, because listen, if Bills Mafia saw Diggs there joking around with Allen, whatever, they're in shorts. This isn't, I get it. This isn't mandatory. I understand that. But at least it would say they're cool, they're good. Diggs is, the talk would be over. You know what I mean? We would know Diggs' mindset's there. I just don't like it. I'll be honest with you, Mikey. And I hate the fact that he hasn't even addressed any of his teammates. He hasn't said nothing positive. He didn't even say, glad to see DeMar's back on the OT. Nothing. Nothing's positive. It's all weird, cryptic. I don't know. I know it's funny. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, Mike, I'm not the only one.
Oh, I know.
I'm just saying, if he's your
the
captain,
media is driving this.
He's your captain. It's not the media. He's your captain. He's your star player. You saw how it ended.
Tommy,
And
where
you know what? Matter of
this?
fact,
Where
what do you mean? Here am I hearing this?
A little frustration here, you know.
Can I show you again
Wants
how
to
the
win.
season ended?
You know, he's in a highly emotional.
That's how it ended. I'm just saying. Okay, Mikey, tell me, when has Stephon Diggs, since that incident, since that game, come out and said anything about the Buffalo Bills?
He went on a whole media tour during the Super Bowl.
I'm talking about since. Name one thing he said on Twitter, Instagram, anything positive.
He doesn't ever say anything on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay, right. But what is he? But he doesn't. He tweets a lot of cryptic stuff, things that get people going, about going
get
here,
people
going
like
there.
you going, but you read into it.
Mikey, no, it's not a good look. You could say it's not. You could say it doesn't look good. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're all in my opinion, and you got your leaders there, Von's not even healthy. Von's recovering. He's still at OTAs. Jordan Poyer's there.
Everybody's not there.
I'm saying most of the leaders, 95% of the team is there, Mikey. I'm not saying he had to show up every day, but at least it would have been, I'm saying it would have been a good look if he you know what's funny? You laugh, but he showed up last year when he wanted his money.
No, he didn't.
Day. Yes, he did.
He showed up one day. And it was like day 6 of OTA.
He showed up one day, and that's right. But I'm Mikey.
Are we in week 2 yet?
It's a good. You don't think it's a good look if you would have showed up? Really? You don't? You think it's not a good look?
I don't care.
I'm sorry. I think it's a bad look on him.
That's fine.
Jarek,
I don't really think about Jarek, yeah. Do you even care about this?
I have a problem with it only because he's a captain. I'm not going to read that much into it and saying that because of
Mikey never cares. Mikey loves all.
I can care less.
Matt Milano not being there. I'm like, yeah, I have an issue with Matt Milano not being there. I feel like if you are a captain, if you're the leader of the team, you got to be there.
Voluntary workouts. Voluntary.
That's nothing to do with it, Mikey.
It's just like you are a captain. You are a
so
leader.
if nobody showed up, if Josh Allen didn't show up, nobody showed up. Like the worst of the worst, just 1-2 guys were like, I guess. I think I'd have a problem with it if Josh Allen didn't show up. If he's all in. I'm just saying. I'm throwing this out there. If you're all in, you are dedicated. You are so focused, and you're a captain. You are a leader. You show the rookies. You show the guys that you are. You're there. You are part of this team. You are showing these guys, these young guys, hey, this is how you do it. But whatever, you can. I'm just saying, Mikey. I know you disagree, and that's fine.
I just honestly feel how you feel, and Bills Mafia should feel how they feel. To me, it's all about nothing. It's just talking points. The media talk about it was reported that Josh Allen left the PGA Championship and went to the Diggs Brothers charity thing.
Okay,
no one's talking about it, but it was reported.
Fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I think Mike, I do think that the media is starting to blow up as far as the relationship between him and Diggs. I don't think that that's too much of a big a deal. Anyone that's been in anything competitive, I'm telling you. I mean, I played college. Again, one of my best friends. Again, we had arguments, we had fights on the sidelines. We've had way worse crap that happened between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. I understand it.
100%. Yeah, that I get. I agree with that too.
So I do think that this is, can be a little blown out, blown out of proportion. I know some people are even comparing it to DeAndre Hopkins. So, the DeAndre Hopkins and Cardinals. That's just a different. That's been happening since last year since during the season. This is now started. That happened because of that game, and I think that was frustration. My only beef though is that again, you're captains, and I understand it's voluntary workouts. Maybe again, I'm a huge Kobe fan, and I know again Kobe, again, I'm
Kobe was a different
fan.
breed,
I think with Kobe Bryant and what he was able to do, as far as again, when it didn't matter. I mean, that's a guy that he wanted it more, and I just look at that. I'm like, the way that game ended between the Bengals and the Buffalo Bills, and then you're trying to incorporate some new, supposedly some new offensive philosophies or some new roles that you're trying to incorporate. I want to be there, and I want to try to consume it and try to learn as much as possible. Try to get that repertoire between me and the new guys. If I'm Josh Allen, trying to work with a lot of those guys like the Hardys and the
just showing
just
showing your face,
work in, trying to get
exactly showing your not only that, showing your face to the young. To me, it's the young guys, right? The young guys are going to be the guys I'm only there, right? I'm just throwing it out there. The Dalton Kincaids, the rookies are probably all going to be there. The guys that are new to the team are probably going to be there, just to kind of, meet up with the coaching staff. This is more, I think, of just players getting to know each other, a little bit of light workouts. I get it. This isn't like, oh my God, they're in shorts. I get that. This is not mandatory. I understand that.
I think it sends a message that we're trying to be for real. Like we got our ass handed with the Cincinnati Bengals, and we're not going to play around.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with. And listen, I will say this though to end this, and I said this in my video. Diggs, the one thing about, and I'll never take it away from Diggs, when it's mandatory, when camp starts, there's nobody that works harder than Stephon Diggs. That dude goes all out, and I'm not worried. That dude trains in the offseason. No problem with that. Like, Stephon Diggs is that dude, and I never have to worry about that. I just, on a personal level, I would have loved for him to show up at least one day. It would be a good look. That's all I'm saying. I know he'll be there mandatory minicamp, and I would also love for him to say something positive for once about the Buffalo Bills. Like, there's really not been much. And I know, Mikey, means nothing to you. I get it. But I would love it. I would absolutely think that it would be a good look. And I know you don't care, but I mean,
I'll care if
it's funny because I see,
I
get it. But I just, to me, I love when my star players, are acting like they're all in, or at least saying they are. Like, the thing that all week that people have been talking about is how Josh Allen came out in the media and said how focused he is, that he really wants this bad, blah, blah, blah. He's your star player. Right? He didn't say that before. Like, he is all in. And I just wish Stephon Diggs would be that guy too. He's a leader too. That's all I'm saying. And I just haven't.
You just want him in Buffalo because he is working out and he is doing stuff because he puts out clips about it all the time. You just want him in Buffalo.
I didn't say he's not working out. I just talked about how he works out. I never said that.
You talked about him being all in, like he's not doing anything.
Team-wise, Mikey. I'm talking about
you want him in Buffalo. That's all.
I want him showing his face at least one time and saying, "Hey guys, like I'm in. I'm all like most of the captains do." Yeah, I get Matt Milano's not there, but the main guys are. Josh is there. 95% of the team showed up, Mikey. There. What is the big deal,
Mikey? I'm gonna say I want him. I want him in Buffalo. I want him in Bar Grill. Damn it! I want to see him in Bar Grill. Or I want to see him in some Duffs or Anchor Bar.
If I had the money that Stephon had, you ain't getting me to show up either. I'm just telling you, if I had the money that Stephon had,
maybe that's why we haven't won a Super Bowl. We got players that don't want to. That don't want to. Hey, I'm being honest with you. That's being honest with you. You got to be focused. Yeah.
Coaching can't
could be that too. Could be that too. But I still want players locked in. Could be too. But I want players locked in, man.
Okay. I guarantee you, Stephon Diggs is locked in when he gets there.
I never said he wouldn't get locked. I just said that. But
you just said the reason why we didn't win a Super Bowl is because Stephon Diggs didn't show up. I
didn't say because Stephon Diggs didn't show up. I said I want players dedicated. I want players that have a mindset going. As a matter of fact, we just talked about this last week about how last year players I kind of felt like, and you agreed, we're doing these mindsets were all over. You agreed?
Yeah, I just. Well, that was in the middle of the season. They're at work. Thing. No, it's not. This is off season. Completely different.
Okay. Yeah, whatever, man. I think it's bullshit. I just don't like the way. Listen, man, all that cryptic crap that he sends out there, You could think it's crap, but he's doing it on purpose. It's trolling in a way. He knows what he's doing. There's nothing positive about it. You could think how you want. I'm telling you how it is, man.
So you're right and I'm wrong?
It's crappy. Never said you're right and wrong. I just said you could think what you want, and I'll think what I do.
Okay,
I think
that wasn't what you said. You said you think what you want, and I'll tell you how it really is.
Yeah.
What you
No, Corona Premiere, Jason. It's the way it goes, man.
So that's fine. It is what it is. You know, everyone can feel the way they feel about it. That's fine.
I'm not alone. By the way, I'm not alone in this.
And I'm not alone in this either. There's a lot of people who don't care. It is what it is. In fact, there's a lot of people in our chat that don't give a crap.
That's great for them.
So, all right.
Oh, good. Well, I made Mikey mad tonight. All right, so go ahead, Mikey.
I'm not mad at all. It just, I'll tell you when because Mike Florio and Chris Sims were just recently talking about this. I turned it off. I don't want to listen to the crap. It's media garbage.
Oh, we're going to talk about
just crap on.
We're going to.
So I don't need to listen to them talk about it. Like everyone has their own opinions on it. That's fine. And if I could have turned us off tonight, I probably would have turned us off tonight. I don't want to listen about how Stephon Diggs isn't all in because he's not at a voluntary minicamp. Just not who I am. So, where'd Tommy go? Did he get mad at me and leave? Did he get mad at me and leave? Tommy get mad and bounce out. He's like, "Screw you, Mike, I'm out."
No, man, no.
I see he's still there somewhere. I don't know. He left somewhere. Oh well. All right. So Jarek, talking about the Bills as they just got done with their week 1 OTAs. Anything that you've seen this week that you're excited about?
Oof. Oh boy, that's the. I'm trying to think about it. I mean, that's just the thing about OTAs is like when you're in shorts. You know, I'm excited for the young guys. Seeing a lot of the young guys and see these clips, just trying to get them. Obviously, getting used to the environment. Obviously, it was good to see Dalvin Kincaid able to kind of work out with some of those with some of the guys. Some of our young, Justin Shorter. Again, a lot of our young players, even a lot of the undrafted guys on there as well. It's always an exciting time to see, some of these young players try to get accustomed to the game. But man, no, overall wise, I'm excited for training camp. I mean, we got the mini camp coming up. We got training camp potentially coming up. I can't wait. I'm gonna go down to Rochester and I'm gonna, go out there and see these guys play. But no, I'm not going to take too much into OTAs because obviously, again, we need to. Obviously, we can see them in shorts and stuff like that. But obviously, I would love to see these guys in pads pretty soon. I'm more excited for July than obviously than the simple voluntary OTAs. Yeah,
I'll tell you, I've watched a little bit this week. Work's been rough, so I really haven't got to watch too much of it. It was cool to see some of the young guys. Listen to Josh talk a little bit about some of the new guys that have come into the building. And what's the one that just came from Miami? I can't think of his name right now. The receiver. Who's the receiver that came from Miami?
Undrafted?
Sherfield, right?
Sherfield. Okay, yep, Sherfield.
Yeah, Sherfield.
Sherfield.
He talked about Sherfield and how they're gaining reps, and then some of the new guys, Shorter and Kincaid. Like Kincaid didn't do much from everything that I've heard this week, but that's fine. Be interested to see how that offensive line plays out. That's the key, I think, this year is how's our offensive line play out. I like that we've gone bigger on the defensive line. We brought in Puna Ford. So we have
they got more
5 D tackles. Yeah, we have 5 D tackles now, which is great, is what we need. Seeing how they play out. Micah Hyde back out there. It was awesome to see DeMar back out there actually running, doing drills and stuff. So, Taylor Rapp made a few really nice plays, which was one of my biggest off-season signings. I have a feeling we're going to use him a lot this year. But other than that, it's kind of exciting to see the Bills get back out there and start playing football again. I don't know where Tommy went. He must have got mad and just bounced.
Okay. He put in the private chat. He says like what he said. What did you got? I don't know if we're still live.
I talked to him. Yeah, we're still live. I talked to him and put that out there. I said, "Where'd you go?" It always says Tommy because we sign in under 1. So, all right. So if I don't really have anything else to talk about, normally we let Tommy go through and do his things. Is he coming back?
Yep, there he is.
Sorry, guys. My dog is freaking out.
Oh,
No.
I'm like, did Tommy get mad at me and leave?
No, my dog was freaking out, man. I don't know what those bothering her. She had to go potty.
Yeah, Chris comes in, and so Tommy, we're talking about kind of what we saw this week and what we liked out of the OTAs this week. Chris comes in and says he thinks Sherfield might ball out for us. Shane Ray.
Trent, yeah. So Trent Sherfield from Miami, interesting, very interesting receiver. Listen, he had I think 500 yards receiving last year for a really good Dolphins receiving core. I know Hill talked about him. He was sad, that he left. I think Sherfield is one of those players that is going to be one of those like diamonds in the rough.
He's been
everywhere he's gone.
Yeah, he listen, man, and I think that's a sneaky pickup. It's one of those Brandon Bean pickups that are under the radar, and I think I think that's a great signing for Buffalo. It's just another weapon for Josh, and but I will say this though, very interested though, if they do get D-Hop, then you got a really flooded room, and I'm very curious then how you deal with the receivers, because I told you guys I like Justin Shorter. Now they could put Justin Shorter on special teams because I really truly believe they put him on practice squad, he will get picked up. I think he's that kind of player. I would hate to lose him on that. And then you got Hardy, who could also do special teams as well. So I don't think he's going anywhere. And they got
different kind of special teams. Yeah,
then you got no, I know, but I'm just then you got Khalil Shakir, who I really believe is going to be a good player in this league. And then you got to figure out where you're putting him and on this offense. Then you got Dalton Kincaid, who's going to play more of a tight end slot receiver. There's a lot more things going on right now if you go ahead and add Hopkins and then Gabe Davis, right? So like there's a ton of targets for Allen. I'm just curious where my point is, if they get Hopkins, where they would stack everybody up in this.
It'll be interesting. Would this be the year they carry 7? Because right now the 6 that they have that everyone assumes is going to make the roster, it's Diggs, Davis, Shakir, Sherfield, Hardy, and Shorter. And Shorter's going to start as a full-time 4-core special teams player. So if you bring in a D-Hop, it's either A, you move to 7, and you know what? If we do move to 7, maybe this is the year we only carry 3 backs instead of 4. Because we always carried 4th, but the 4th back was always Tywan Jones, who was a special teamer.
That I agree with too. And then that goes back to the whole Nyheim Hines thing too, right? So it's just finding I'm just very curious though, like I said, how this would be an interesting thing for Dorsey. This like how Dorsey would get everybody involved, because if you get a D-Hop, listen, and somebody tweeted me like, oh, why would he play there when he wants to be the number 1 receiver or whatever? But like that's crap. He would definitely love to play next to Diggs, but I am curious because he'd have to understand the ball is probably gonna. There's a lot of different areas for Josh to go to.
Well, it would probably fall back kind of how it did back when it was Diggs and Beasley. Diggs had like 150 targets. They had like 112 or something like that. Yeah. So you would probably have those 2 as your 2 primaries, and then all the rest of them, the other 300 targets, because if we be honest,
and you got Gabe
600 times a year. So if you throw 150 to him and 130 to him, you still have 300 more to go.
If you go back to the 2002 team, I guess, you can kind of. So the 2002 team, if we go back there, Eric Moulds, and by the way, this is our last 2 receivers who had 1,000 yards in the season. Moulds had 1,275, and Peerless had 1,200, I think. And then you had Travis Henry at 1,500 almost rushing, and then you had Jordan Reed at Josh Reed at 500. So I could see that. You definitely could. I could see a season mix it up like that, but that's a lot of yards because now and I'm just throwing that out there. You got Dawson Knox. I mean, the sky's the limit. My point is Dorsey this would be he would really have to mess with the playbook. Yeah, honestly, because now you
have to get creative.
And that's what we're going to find out.
That's my point. That's where I'm going with this. Yeah,
like
because,
you give those weapons
right.
to Andy Reid, you give those to
Right.
Sean Payton, Sean McVay, those
That's
type
what
of
I'm
guys.
saying.
They figure out a way. But then that's part of the unknown and what makes the Mafia so nervous about it is we don't know what Dorsey is still, even a year in.
I agree with that. And by the way, the running game, if we got Hopkins, that we would. I automatically assume we are still a passing team. We are still 65 at least, right? 65% passing team. But I would say this, though, and to Jarek's point way earlier in the podcast, by adding Hopkins, too, or I think it was you, Mikey, that said it, with the play action, all that, it would help the running game out more.
Yeah.
Because now you are so deep with receiving talent that you could definitely now mix in the running. Now you got defenses really struggling because last year what the problem was, nobody really helped out Allen besides Diggs. I mean, now I obviously I like Gabe Davis, but he had an up and down season. And the thing with Josh, he was missing that Cole Beasley, that security blanket. Now he has it with Dalton Kincaid. He has it with Diggs, obviously. He'll have it if we get a D-Hop. Now you can really mix in the running game, and that's where you can get creative if you're Ken Dorsey.
If we can utilize Cook in the passing game, like kind of like what we kind of got him for, because coming out of college, he was known as being tied for the Tampa Bay running back as being the best receiver back in the draft class, and that's why you want him, because you can line him out wide in the slot, in the coming out of the backfield. He can do so much for you. He's an all-purpose back. Not someone that's going to get 20 to 30 carries off the backfield. That's someone that you're going to utilize all over the football field. So we've seen it in the Dolphins game when he had 7 catches for 80-something yards, and then we just stopped utilizing him that much. And the biggest reason was because, he didn't get the playbook. That's what we kept hearing. He didn't get the playbook. Well, now he's in a year in this offense. We're all going to assume that he's going to get the playbook. So do you utilize this man to the full fullest of his capability? Can you do him that way? Because I think going back to both of you guys' original point, we are going to find out how creative Ken Dorsey can get, because you have a Christmas present that a lot of coordinators wish that they can have, all those weapons that you can utilize in both the passing attack and the running game. And if Ken Dorsey can't get the job done here, then he needs to be gone.
Then he's not going to get it done anywhere. I agree with that.
If we sign D-Hop, if that actually comes to it, I actually like the idea of signing him even more, because then it takes the pressure off of Dalton Kincaid. Right now, you always hear about, Dalton Kincaid can be the safety blanket. Dalton Kincaid's a rookie, and he's not even a polished rookie. He's a raw rookie who didn't play football until late. He was a no-star that went to San Diego State, then worked his way to Utah, and then had a really good year at Utah and got drafted in the first round. So he's a very raw player. So I would love to get a D-Hop here and have that, and then let Kincaid work his way into the offense rather than trying to force him into the offense.
Yeah, and a guy who's also going to have to get familiar with Josh.
Yeah,
I told you, that. Josh is particular about that. You have to get that connection. Right? It took Dawson Knox quite a bit. Right, for him and Josh to kind of build that chemistry. So doesn't mean it's going to happen right away.
I mean, came with Shakir last year. Yeah. It took him a while. It takes Josh a little bit of time to get on the same pace. Someone asked, "What's the health of D-Hop currently?" Fully healthy.
Working out with Vaughn. Looking as good as he would ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dallas,
he's
Dallas
ready to go.
Asks, do you think drafting Kincaid holds being back from going after D-Hop? I don't think so. I think anything, the Bills like to get insurance policies. Going after D-Hop and getting him gives us the insurance policy that we don't have to rush our rookie.
It takes the pressure. I think it actually takes the pressure off of Brandon Beane a little bit here, because a lot of people are saying, well, if Kincaid doesn't get at least 70 or 80 or 90 targets this year, then we're going to consider that as a failure, because you got a tight end in the first round that you didn't utilize. Well, now if you got DeAndre Hopkins, now the excuse can be, obviously we got DeAndre Hopkins, we got too many guys, and Kincaid he's gonna have to work his way in this offense, right? I think
probably going to get 30 or 40 40 targets this
Yeah.
year. And okay, I'm good with that because we went and signed D-Hop to be that guy.
Mhm.
And
Right,
we're going to
exactly.
groom this guy to be our long-term, guy, because Diggs and D-Hop are both starting to get up there in age.
Chris, by the way, yeah, Damian Harris I'm excited, but I'm nervous. In a sense too.
Tommy is so nervous about him because of his
because
history.
he is a good running back. It's just he has a long, lengthy injury history, and it really it does bother me
And
because he's a good running back. We've seen it firsthand. Every time he's played Buffalo, he's done great. Like he's tore us up. He's done a very good job, but he just doesn't stay healthy, and it is a little concerning. But once again, 1-year deal. Cut him. I mean, I'm just throwing that out
League
there.
minimum.
It doesn't work. It's not.
You take the
but if it works out, right? If it works out, then hey, great. You know what I mean? But I still don't think he's the answer, right? Like we need to draft a bigger back.
I think he's the answer to
this year,
to what they were hoping Zach Moss was going to be.
The short yardage, goal line. I agree. I agree. But I think Murray could be that guy too, though. Murray's a big back too, Mikey. Murray's done
bigger.
that well.
Yeah, he's bigger than Harris.
Yeah, and he's done that.
The difference is Harris has a season with like 17 touchdowns and 13 of them inside the 5. So he 100%. Has a nose for the end zone.
He definitely does. He definitely does. He's a good back when healthy.
Guys, I'm gonna call it the running back situation next year. This is all a holdout for Raheem Sanders. Getting him in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Who?
Raheem Sanders. He's
Alabama?
a running back for Arkansas. No, Arkansas.
Okay.
He's 6 feet. Again, one of my favorite players to watch. If you would have came in this draft, he would have been the 3rd best running back easily and probably would have won day 2.
I'll have to look at his tape.
Is that the same Sanders that was at Alabama that moved? Because there was a back that was behind those guys that was last name was Sanders. Who was really
Trey
good.
Sanders.
It was Trey Sanders. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Trey has I really pray to God that he does well at TCU, but he has a lot of injuries that he's got to try to work. I hope he does well at TCU. We know, right? No, Sanders,
he did transfer too to TCU.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Sanders is he's 6'2", he's 235 pounds. He run and he's at least what they say he runs a 4.37. Oh, and he's
Henry type.
He has blazing speed. He's exactly that second complement what the Bills always wanted. But he's actually, I'm telling you, if he gets in this offense, he fits this offense perfectly. I love Arkansas's offensive scheme because it's very similar to what Ken Dorsey wants to run here in Buffalo. But no, Sanders is one of my favorite players when he comes out next year, if he can stay healthy.
Bowser in 24. I don't know Bowser. I haven't even started in on the draft prospects for next year yet. I'm just got done, researching all the draft prospects for this year.
Somebody did bring out a good stat. I think I sent it to you, Mikey. I don't remember if I did or not, but it was about like the last 10 seasons of running backs who hit 1,000 yards, something like that, and none of the Super Bowl teams, like the last 10 years or something like that, have had 1,000-yard running back.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, that's pretty wild considering I'm just throwing this out there, and I'm not saying you don't need a run. Yeah, I'm not saying you don't need a run.
Most of them have a committee, so one of them will have like 700, right. One of them will have 500.
Right. And I'm with that. So I get the approach in a way too.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need to be a running obvious. Like I don't think this offense is never going to be that way. But you still need a decent running back, and you still need a reliable short yardage guy, because the problem is, and we've seen this for the past 3-4 seasons, is we don't know how to wear teams down late in games. We don't know how to get short yardage. We always rely on Josh. Goal line has always been a problem. And it's Josh. And NFL defenses eventually know what's up, and they eventually change the way they play against a certain quarterback. And I felt like last season, defenses finally caught on to what the Buffalo Bills do on short yardage and goal line, and we got stuck a lot, and we could not finish games or get games in our favor because we didn't use the clock right, because we couldn't run. So there is times you have to run, and we just never had that, really. And I'm hoping with the addition of Torrance and the addition of Harris, if he could stay healthy, that will get these games that we should have won last year, that we could have killed the clock, like the Vikings game, just throwing that out there.
God.
It would have never happened because we would have killed the clock with the running team. Instead, we're throwing Josh,
I think
getting caught up. You can't do that. You got to have a little running game there.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. Part of what they caught on to was they were able to collapse the pocket.
Oh,
Like
all
the pressure that came up the middle was the difference last year from the previous years. Josh had nowhere to go.
Middle and outside. I felt like they came in all
the outside.
angles.
They've always done that, but Josh would find a little crease because the middle would be able to stay stout.
Yeah, it wasn't there last.
It wasn't there. So this
well,
is
that
the
was
last
one thing. Yeah.
So this will be the last one, and before we head out of here,
Yeah.
Honest opinion, everyone. All odds of Big Baller Bean making a deal for D Hop. Dallas is about 75% chance, as long as KC doesn't. I'll start. I'm going to say 70-30 we don't. Until Brandon Bean signs him, I don't believe he's gonna. I'm done falling for this hype crap. 70-30, it doesn't happen.
Go ahead, Jarek.
I'm gonna say, yeah. I'm gonna go with 60-40. He doesn't sign him. Brandon Bean, man, he's just one of those guys. I mean, he sticks to what he believes in. He sticks to what he preaches. Yeah, he's stubborn. He sticks to what he preaches, and I feel like for the most part, he's satisfied with these guys that he has right here. I was hoping that we were going to go aggressive for D. I mean, the fact again, we didn't go aggressive for D Hop and free agency in the draft. So it's kind of like now that he's a free agent, and again, he has to make moves. It's definitely possible that he can get him here. He's got to make some moves to do it, and I know he could definitely. He's capable of doing those moves. I just don't know if he's willing to do that right now, especially when we're that close to getting to the season. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think now's the time to do it if we're going to do it because it's still early in the offseason where he can learn the offense and get time with Josh.
100%. If you're going to do it,
now's the time to do it.
You better do it within the next 2 weeks. You got to get him in here by mid-June, the latest, right? You have to. He has to get the playbook. You have to meet Josh, like you said. Get with Josh, get with everybody, get familiar with your teammates, and get familiar with the facility, get familiar with your offensive coaches, everybody, right? Your offensive line. A lot. Football's a team game. Like there's so much to it. It's not just hey, me and Josh. Like there's a lot to it, right? So I think differently than you guys, and maybe that's just because I really want Diop on here. I think, and here's why I think. I don't listen. Bean has done some crazy stuff. Bean went out and got a Von Miller, who we all thought wasn't going to happen, paid big money, right, for a guy that's, let's be honest, he's up there in age. And everybody was like, ugh. But he did it, and he did it because he knew that we needed a position filled, an edge rusher, and he did it for other reasons. But he did maybe overpay a tad. I don't think he did, but some people might think that. That's one. Two, listen, Gabe Dave's going to be free agent next year, and I don't think he's coming back. I just don't. You're going to need to fill that. You're going to need to fill that number 2. And I feel like if what was said by DeAndre Hopkins a month or so ago, that he's willing to work the contract a little bit, like he's not trying to get this crazy contract, that maybe Bean does pull the trigger and understand that Josh needs a number 2, that Gabe Davis is potentially out the door next season. Instead of fishing around in the draft, just like when he got Stephon Diggs, instead of fishing around for a guy, he has a proven guy. DeAndre Hopkins is a proven guy. If he could work out the contract and make it work, I think he can do it. And I'm going to say he is on this. I think Von probably will be chirping his ear. I think Josh will probably be saying, yeah, I would love him on this team. And I think he does make it. And I'm going to say 60-40 the opposite way. I think 60% chance that we get D-Hop, that he pushes for this. But like I said, man, there's other teams involved. We're not the only one. We're not the guys making the choice. It's D-Hop's decision ultimately. Because listen, we don't know. Brandon B could have already been on the phone with his agent, giving him an offer. It comes down to what D-Hop wants. It has nothing to do with what we want. So I think he's definitely, listen, the one thing Brandon Bean has always said, he'll always make a call. Doesn't mean he's giving him a great offer, but maybe he's making the call. And guess what? He doesn't need to make a call to a GM. He needs to make a call to his agent this time. Get what I'm saying? Big difference. There
I
ain't
hope
no
you're right.
wheel in it. Right? You know what I
God,
mean?
God, I hope you're right.
He ain't giving up no assets.
But also,
except
listen to
for
this.
money.
You're gonna love this one, Tommy. This
Yeah.
goes right into your whole Diggs conspiracy.
Buffalo Soldier.
Next year's
Jet.
cap number, Diggs's cap number next year is $27.8 million.
Oof.
We can
Ooh.
release him post June 1 and save $19 million.
Who's this? Say it again.
Diggs.
I'm sorry, totally.
Diggs.
Okay.
Next year, his cap number is $27.8 million.
It's huge. All right.
God,
We can cut him post June 1 and save 19.
I'll tell you what, they cut him, boy. That means a lot will happen at backstage. Once again, and you're going to come back and we're going to remember this podcast.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm just throwing that.
But, you know,
I don't think that's going to happen,
bring-
but I will
bring
say,
D-Hop
if it
in.
does,
Bring D-Hop
that
in.
means some heavy duty crap went behind closed doors that we really didn't know about. You know what I mean? Like there was some
that
something
you were
happened
connecting the dots on that I wasn't.
right. But I don't think that's going to happen. But man,
Neither
that's
do I.
huge. You're right. That is. But Diggs is still dynamic. Diggs is still a younger, like he's not an old. I just feel like
Sure.
He'll be 31 next year.
I'm more concerned. Yeah, but he's still tough.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, I mean, receiver that's still young. Still
yeah,
kind of.
my concern is the Gabe Davis thing. And I told everybody, I like Gabe Davis. I think Gabe Davis still, to what everyone else says, I don't care. He still could be a quality number 2 in this league. I don't care what anyone says. But if he's leaving, why not fill the position for a guy you know for sure can fill it? And that is D-Hop. And if I'm Brandon Beane, I'm saying one thing. What do I want right now? Gabe or D-Hop? What's it going to be? You get what I'm saying? Because I don't think they're going to be all in on Gabe Davis next season when he becomes free agent. I think they're going to, like you said, Mikey, sometimes go ahead and go out there and see what you can get. Because here's my offer.
I think someone's going to pay him between 14 and 18 million, and it's going to be too rich for our blood.
That's what I'm saying.
And
so why? Right. Yeah.
And Joe comes in and says, draft Harrison from Ohio State. You're going to have a top 5 pick to draft Harrison.
Exactly. And when are we ever in the top of anything in these drafts lately? We've had one, and that was at Albert in 2019.
Maybe an Anai Mitchell from Texas, or maybe an Xavier Worthy type caliber.
I mean, you can get there's receivers that go late
in
rounds.
But Harrison's not.
Hunter.
No, Harrison's gone.
Harrison's going to go top 5.
No, he's gone. Right. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's going to be interesting. But you're right, Mikey.
Have you met Brandon Beane? He doesn't give up picks to get that high.
No.
He'll have to give up like his whole draft.
Hell, we could have 50 picks. He would be mad to give up one.
Especially after we sign D-Hop and go to the Super Bowl.
We have 100 picks, and he'd be so angry getting up one. 99 picks, that one pick.
And we had 10 picks going into next year.
Yeah, maybe a Keon Coleman, maybe the Johnny Wilson, who's like a 6'7" receiver from Florida State.
Yeah, we're not getting up high enough to get a Marvin Harrison Jr.
No,
Don't get me wrong.
Man, that's
I would love it. I would love it, but it ain't happening.
But you're right, Mikey. Though
you have 3 number ones for a wide
2
receiver.
weeks, man. Gotta get this deal done.
Yeah, we got 2 weeks. Yeah. All right, Tommy. So, what's on tap, brother?
What is on tap? So me and Mikey are probably gonna get back our Monday nights in about, I would say, mid-June, guys. I'll put the announcement on Twitter. Man, we had a full room tonight, guys. I appreciate everybody in this chat room. First of all, Jarek, thank you for coming on. As always, you're welcome to come on anytime. So me and Mikey will be back in about, I would say, mid-June on Mondays. We're still gonna always be here every Friday at 8:30. Yep. You can always catch us here. I still got everybody doing our, Tuesdays our wrestling podcast. You guys know that at 8:30. Wednesdays Rally Towel. Thursday I got NBA, Buck of Fury. So I got a lot going on the channel. So guys, hit the notification bell, subscribe if you haven't already. And man, it's gonna be a fun season.
July, right after the 4th of July, that first weekend we're gonna kick off. We're gonna get our fantasy show back up and running. And start looking into mock drafts and players.
Jarek, man,
all that.
I'm telling you should join.
You can come join us. You don't have to join us every week. You can just hop in when you want to talk some fantasy football, brother.
No, I gotta get into fantasy, man, because last year was my first year doing it.
You actually did good. You didn't do bad.
I went from having a crappy draft, and I had to make it. My friend cussed me out because why you drafted why do you draft Mark Andrews in the second round? I'm like, I don't know. He's right there on the board. I'm trying to get him.
It takes a minute to you got to go through a couple fantasy drafts to really start grasping it. But once
Just don't
you do,
follow
it's like,
Tommy's advice. Just don't follow Tommy's advice.
whatever, dude. Anyways, guys, happy Memorial Day, by the way, for everybody. I want
Yes.
y'all to enjoy yourselves, have a good weekend, safe weekend, and as always, Bills Mafia, we love you. And until next time, we're out of here. Go Bills. Peace.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.